I'm Edd Moss, I'm the chair of the Co-operative Young Members Board. Why did I become a member of the co-op? I became a member of the co-op because I realised that I was using the local co-op store quite a lot, and I just happened to notice the membership card one day and just kind of thought, yeah, why not? I was also attracted to the idea of that people actually owned the business and it wasn't all just going to handful of very wealthy people at the top. I was quite into that idea. I think young people have a really valuable contribution to make. If you think of the co-op having a really strong community element to why the co-op exists. Around a third of people that live in communities are young people. So if we're talking about being able to benefit a community, you need to make sure that that those young people who are benefiting are also able to get involved in the co-op. So there is that element. The other element, I think, as well, is that young people have a massively wide-ranging experiences that they've had, just about the way they go about their daily lives, and therefore they've got loads of insight into what it's like to be a young person in 2013. Because anybody that's sort of in their 30s now, when they were, say, 18, 19, 20, the world was quite a different place. The rate of change has kind of accelerated quite quickly, so making sure that you're always keeping in touch with your youngest members means that you're always going to be in touch with what's going on and what their needs are, and keeping your finger on the pulse. I think capitalising on the fact that the co-op is quite a different business, I think would really help get more younger people involved. I think pointing out that the co-op is owned by its members, and also helping younger members to understand what it is to be a member, I think could really help encourage more young people to join up. I think also making it really clear that the co-op is wanting to work with young people to develop new business opportunities for the co-op, which not only help young people but also kind of creates more kind of business surplus that then the co-op can then invest back into communities. I think those are really good ways of kind of getting more young people involved, having more incentives to kind of to become a member in the first place. And I think finally, one of the things I think is really interesting is that lots of young people are very disillusioned with the current democratic system. You're much more likely to be a first-time abstainer than you are to be a first-time voter. So I do think that the chance to kind of have democratic control of the business is quite an exciting opportunity. But I think the way that is done needs to kind of change so that it's much more accessible, and younger people feel that they're making an informed choice when they're choosing their local area community members. I think cooperatives have a very mixed view with lots of young people. So obviously there are lots of young people who are naturally attracted to kind of cooperative ways of working, and I'm sure lots of those young people are kind of already quite engaged in the movement. In terms of engaging other young people, I think lots of people just see the co-op as another food shop. They don't see the particular difference. They might be vaguely aware that the cooperative group does quite a lot of work around young people, but I think one of the things that has made co-op quite different to other businesses is they've not really shouted very loudly about effectively their kind of community work, which I think is nice in many ways. It's quite humble, but I also think it's kind of done a disservice to some of the amazing Inspiring Young People's programmes, because it's meant that that people aren't quite as aware of the impact that the co-op is having in communities. I mean, I think as part of a broad curriculum, you should be taught about as many different ways of working as possible. At the moment, we do have a bit of a focus in education on kind of subject areas, and I think they're my personal opinion is I think there should be much more focus on skills and on thinking about the world differently, because that's where you kind of get more creative talent, and as we know, young people are naturally inclined to be quite creative. So teaching young people about cooperatives at an earlier age, and engaging them in the idea that it's not just the more traditional capitalist model, that you can actually have a business that runs in a very different way, would be a great way of actually getting more younger people into business. Lots of people are put off by the idea of business being very cutthroat and very commercial. And although cooperative businesses, I'm sure, can also be that, it also presents a very different way of working. It kind of promotes a way of working that's just much more participatory. And I think, at a time when lots of people are feeling that they don't have much control over their lives, participation is a really good way of helping people. Meaningful participation is a really good way of helping people to get back involved in their local areas, their local communities. There's a lot of work around social enterprises at the moment, which is fantastic, and kind of trying to encourage young entrepreneurs into that marketplace. But one of the things I think that is lacking at the moment is a lot of focus on young entrepreneurs. So it's kind of like individuals taking themselves forward, and there's not been that much promotion of perhaps young people working collectively in a formal cooperative. There's lots of work around. There's lots of work going on at the moment around social action. So that might be groups of young people, taking action in their local areas, helping reform public services, working on programs like the National Citizen Service, and that's fine. But actually, cooperatives, I think, also offer a really good way of people being able to continue that action afterwards. And like you say, it's kind of getting into their idea that actually it could turn into a sustainable business after that point, that meets the needs of the community, generates surplus, and is democratically controlled by the local people in that area.